Righty.
Okay, we're recording now. Go ahead, guys. Thank you.
This is Whit Bastian. I'm doing an interview with Maxie and Joy Burchell, who met through ChristianFilipina.com, and they've been good enough today to share their experiences with us. How are you folks this evening?
Hi, Whit. We're doing great, and we're happy to share a lot.
Good. Well, the men and women out there who are interested in following in your footsteps would really like to know, how you got to where you are. So maybe Maxie, you could start and just tell us a little bit about, how you found your way to Christian Filipina and, what led you there.
I started out the internet dating process in 2010 and 2011 because the small town I live in, there's not very many available, I guess you'd say, dating partners my age here. So it was just another avenue for me to meet some available ladies. But that was a disaster. And I had really given up hope until I found Christian Filipino in an advertisement, I believe it was. And I said, I'll try this. Because what drew me to Christian Filipino was the fact that it was a Christian website run by Christians, and it was for Christian people to meet.
Maxie, while we do want to talk, and we will, about Christian Filipina, let's take a moment. And you said the sites you tried before this were a disaster. Just without discussing the site by name, just kind of tell us what went wrong, why it didn't work.
Most of the ladies that you meet on the sites over here, back when I started, were mostly non-Christian ladies, and they were looking for just a quick date and a relationship on a weekend. And that was not my intention, and that was not the reason I was on the websites. I was looking to establish a deep relationship that leads to marriage. And that wasn't most of them's intentions on the secular websites.
So the main issue with you is they didn't offer what you were looking for, a serious relationship with a Christian woman.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay. So then you went to Christian Filipina, and that changed, obviously, for the better. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, when I got to Christian Filipino, I liked the fact that he policed his contacts, and there wasn't any scammers on there that I found. And I like the fact that most of the ladies on the website were Christian, and they were really looking for the same thing as I was. And I wanted to find someone that was close to my age, that was mature, and of course that was a Christian. And they shared the same values, the same faith and stuff that I did.
Maxie, so our listeners know, how old are you?
I was 58 at the time that I started, 57 rather, the time I started this process, and I'm 59 right now.
Okay. So you got onto ChristianFilipina.com, and you could tell just by the way that the site runs itself that this was kind of what you were looking for. Tell us a little bit about your experience on meeting women and eventually meeting Joy through ChristianFilipina.com.
I had all good experiences with most of the women that I met on Christian Filipino. I found out early on that a lot of the Filipino ladies, some of them were a lot younger than me, and they said age didn't matter, but that was the only thing. I just had to weed out a lot of the younger ladies. I didn't, how would you say it, discriminate against them because of the age, but I didn't want to marry anybody a a lot younger than myself. So what I would do was just I had a lot of the ladies contact me and send me messages, and I would look at their profile and stuff, and if it wasn't really what I was looking for, then I would write them a short letter back and say that, I'm a 59-year-old man and I'm really looking for someone a little older. But I liked the website and the way Peter and his wife posted blogs. I read a lot of their blogs, and there was a lot of helpful information on there. And I didn't particularly start out looking to marry someone from the Philippines, but that's the way it worked out. And since I was on their site, all of the information that they provided about dating someone for the Philippines was really helpful, because their dating customs is totally different than it is here in the States.
Let's talk about that for a little bit, Maxie, because you're an American man and you're used to how things work in the States. Share with us, what these differences were, the most outstanding things in your mind.
Some of the most outstanding things were you have to get the approval of the family. And I learned that early on, and that when you go there that you would get the approval and sort of, they call it the blessing of the family. Since Joy's daddy had passed away, I had to get the blessing, of course, of her brothers and her mom. And they require that once you start dating them, they want to be exclusive, and they want you to pursue them and woo them and draw them. And in America, we used to the hurry up fast, I call it fast food dating. And it's totally a different culture over there, which I like that. I really like the way their families are close knit, and they still highly value traditional families over there. And I wished America was more like that.
Yeah, kind of the way it used to be. Let's focus just at first on you saw Joy's profile on the website, I take it, and you guys started communicating?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I read her profile, and it immediately attracted me, because I thought, here is a really beautiful lady who is really what I'm looking for. She's about the right age, and she's a Christian, and she was a worship leader, and she was active all the time in her church, and she posted a lot about what was going on in her church and in her family. And I could tell she was mature. She wasn't someone who was immature. She had a good foundation underneath her, and that's what I was looking for.
Okay. How long was it between the time that you started communicating with her online and the time you exchanged contact information, like email addresses and phone numbers and such?
Oh, gosh, it was probably within a month and a half after we began communicating. Well, Joy's saying no, but what do you remember?
I think after several days, we already gave our exchange.
She said after several days. She's probably right. My memory sometimes is not good, Wid.
Okay.
But I do remember we communicated on CF and typed information for a while, and then she gave me her phone number, and we started calling. I called her on the phone and talked first, and then later on we moved off from CF and started Skyping.
Okay. And how long after that was it that you scheduled a visit to the Philippines to go meet her?
Oh, we Skyped every day. We had for 2 times a day, most every day of the week for almost 8 months.
Goodness, that's a long time. You guys got to know each other rather well over Skype.
Yes, we both was wanting to be sure about this thing before we jumped off into the fire, so to speak.
For someone, Maxie, who wants to achieve what you enjoy achieve, a happy marriage, and for something like this to work out, do you think it was important to take it a little bit slow like that, and to Skype and have a long period of time before you met?
Yes, but I would highly recommend do not jump into anything, especially whenever you're going cross-cultural, so to speak, and you're marrying two cultures, and understand that you need to be sure that both of you can take what is opposite, because in some ways Joy and I are opposites. And not only in our personalities, which everybody is that way. I mean, whether you're an American or a Japanese or whatever, personalities clash sometimes, because man and wife, you don't hardly ever marry anybody who's exactly like you. So not only are the opposite things in your personalities, but then there's some cultural differences that you have to work through. And you don't want to jump into anything, because those differences can either break the marriage or they can make you stronger. It's just according to how you handle it.
Now, you've mentioned, Maxie, the whole family concept of having to woo her family. What are some of the other outstanding cultural differences that you experienced?
Well, just take, for instance, some of the food. She likes a lot of different foods than I do, and I like my breakfast traditional, and she just got some fried fish in not long ago, and it's her traditional Filipino breakfast, and I said, "What is that smell?" But they like that, so it's not my cup of tea, but there's just some, it's minor things that you have to, I like to think of it, I can't be selfish and have my own stuff all the time. I have to learn to enjoy what she enjoys and have to do the things that she enjoys doing sometimes. So there's some of the things that you just have to work through.
Right. Okay, so we have these differences, but then you have a real foundation in your faith, and obviously the two of you clicked over Skype. So 8 months, 10 months, at some point down the road, I assume, Maxie, you made a decision, I need to meet her face to face.
Oh, yes. Yes, both of us had decided that we were so anxious to meet one another. We knew one another really well from sometimes 14 hours of Skyping a week, and we got into a lot of the deep questions and deep knowing of one another with the hard questions and stuff. And then when we met, I had told her, I said, "Joy, when we meet, there'll be some surprises, but there'll also be a lot of questions answered." And when we met in person, a lot of the things that I already knew in my heart about her was cemented. It become reality. And we both knew when I left in September, well, we were engaged. I asked her to marry me probably about 4 or 5 days after I was there.
Oh, you were that sure?
I was sure before I left. Really and truly, I was sure, because we had both been praying, and I had told Joy, get your pastor, your mother, all of your family, and you pray about some of this. And she was sure in her heart before I got there, but she didn't tell me that. She wanted to tell me when I got there. Right. So when we met in person, there were a few surprises, some things that we didn't know about one another. And she always said mutual attraction. And that's what she calls it. And I just called it being attracted to somebody.
Right. So on all levels, on a faith level, on a personal level, and on a physical attraction level, you guys just clicked.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
Wonderful. So you went to the Philippines. Things went very well. You asked Joy to marry you. Then what? Walk us through what happens next. You're in love. You decide to get married. Did you both know that you wanted to come back to the United States, or did you consider living in the Philippines?
Well, I have a farm here, so it was almost imperative that she be willing to relocate because of my farm here and my job with the farm. So we knew that she would come back here, and so we started on that long process of getting a visa, and that was phew. If our government could make anything easier on people, that's one of the areas that they need to work on, because it's too long and too hard.
Let's talk about that, Max, for a little bit, because people or a gentleman or a lady listening to this that's considering doing what you've done will be very interested in this process. So you got engaged, and then just walk us through the steps and how long it took to get this visa.
Well, we started on it. I was there in September of 2011, and I started on the process as quick as I got back to the States. And it was about probably the third week of September when I started on that process. I hired a immigration attorney. That's all she does. She specializes in it and been doing it probably about 28 years, which is the best thing I could have done, because I had heard so much from different people about what you do, how you go about doing it, the K-1 visa, which is the fiance, and then the spousal visa, or do you get them over here on a regular tourist visa and then marry them and they stay here with you? And I had heard all different kinds of stories. But then when I hired my immigration attorney and got the chance to sit down with her the first time, she took me through all of the process. And I realized I'd gotten a lot of false information. So, but from September, it took close to 14 months to get all of the paperwork done and get Joy's visa approved and for her to come over here, because it was November of 2012 before she got here.
Okay, so from start to finish, when I say start to finish, I mean starting the process to Joy actually being able to be here with you was 14 months.
14 months.
And do you believe that hiring this immigration attorney sped that process up?
Yes, I do, because if you don't get all of your correct spelling on every page that you fill out, and you have one mistake on any page, they send you back the paperwork and you do it again. And you have to proofread everything. And there's probably some people who can do all of that, but I just didn't have time to do it, not with my job.
Okay. So you feel like that decision was a good decision and it worked and all of that?
Yes. Okay. Even Joy, whenever we went in for our last interview together, and we went in, our attorney had everything arranged in order that the USIS office people will go through there and they'll ask you questions and they'll check off, because they've got a list they go through. The government has got a list, and they make sure they dot every T and cross every T and dot every I, and they got a little list they go through. And our attorney had everything arranged in the order. She's done this so much, she had everything arranged in the order that they would check it off in. So
I'm sorry, Maxie. When we first started the interview, and this might be a good time to bring it up, you said that you had a lot of false information that was given to you, and you wished that someone had, given you more background before you started. What type of false information were you talking about?
Well, one of the things that was told to us is go for the fiance visa because it's quicker. Well, that's not true. Our attorney gave us all the information on the sheet, and I showed it to Joy, and she says this is based on information that probably that she had, say, from a year ago. Because now she told us that the Philippines is the #1 country in the world that's immigrating to our country, which I didn't know that. I figured Mexicans was, but no.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Your attorney told you that.
That's what she told us, and she said 8 months if you don't have any problems. 8 months before you get Joy over here. Well, it turned out to be 14 months because we had some problems with some paperwork on Joy. And 14 months is a long time. And then she said that far as a financial standpoint, what I've learned is if you go with a spousal visa, it costs you half as much because she files everything on a spousal visa at one time. Whereas on a K-1 fiance visa, she files the visa to get Joy over here. And when she gets over here and goes through her approval in her interview, then she files for her green card, her social security number, and her work permits, which that's two separate things. With a spousal, you do all of it at one time, which makes it cheaper on you. And there's no time difference in it. So if I'd have known what I'd known now, I'd have brought her over here on the spousal visa. But I didn't know that. I found out all of this after we'd done started the paperwork on the K-1.
Right. Well, that's good to know. What else do you think, given your experience, you'd want another couple to know that, a landmine or two they could avoid?
Oh, my best advice to them is be patient. Work with the government officials. It's a slow process, and they do things different than a private enterprise would be quick to get everything done and communicate a little with you. I found out in dealing with the government, they're slow, they're bulky, they don't get in a hurry about anything, but you can't get upset about it. You have to keep you cool, and because they hold your fiance's life and they got it in their hands, and you got to be patient and try to be happy. And don't give them any hassle.
Right. So once you got the visa approved, then Joy came over, and tell us about how that was. Because did you go and see her during those 14 months? Did you visit her in the Philippines?
Yes, I made 3 trips, 3 different trips over.
Okay.
I spent a total of 6 weeks over there visiting her and her family and just, checking out all the good sights. There's a lot of beautiful country over there, and they have a lot to do. And, it's a beautiful country, not only the country, but the sights.
Right.
And there's a lot in Manila, 15.5 million people I read, and there's a lot to do over there. So not only just to see Joy and her family and stuff, but to see her country. I enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed every minute I was there.
Wow, that's great. Do you guys waited to get married till you got to America?
Well, we had an informal wedding in the Philippines because none of her family would have been able to be here for our American wedding. So we not to so we could so not to mess up the fiance visa. We was married in the Philippines, but we could not make it. I guess you'd say legal. We couldn't file any paperwork with the government. That was the advice our attorney gave us. We can marry, but just don't register anything or file any paperwork with the government.
Right. To keep straight with the way that your immigration paperwork was going. I understand.
Yes. Yes. On a K-1 fiance visa, that's the way it has to be.
Right. Well, great. So, Maxie, just real briefly, what you have a farm in Arkansas?
Yes. I have three poultry houses. I raise chickens for Tyson Industries.
Ah, okay. And you guys have been married now for how long? I can probably do the math here, but tell me.
Last April. We always count our Filipino wedding as our official wedding because we was married in her church by her pastor. So we count right now is we had this past April our 1 year anniversary. We had our American wedding this past in December of 2012.
Okay. Well, if I can for just a minute here, I'd like to shift gears and talk to Joy for a second, if that'd be okay.
Yes, go ahead.
All right.
Hi, Joy.
Hi, Weird.
It's nice to meet you. I think it would be very interesting and helpful for you to just kind of talk about what Maxie and I just talked about from your point of view of being in the Philippines. How did you get involved with Christian Filipina as a Philippine lady?
Well, one time I was online, and then suddenly I saw this ad banner of Christian Filipina, but I was already like doing internet dating on others' websites, and then I suddenly saw Christian Filipina, and I was about to give up internet dating, and then when I saw Christian Filipina website, I tried to open it, and since it said that you can register free, so I tried it. So that's where I found Christian Filipina on online.
And you were like Maxie. You were looking for a place, a website that shared your Christian values and your goal of getting a marriage. That was the goal. Is that true?
Yes.
Is that what's true?
Yes, that's right. Yes, that's right. And I was also really looking for a serious relationship that leads to marriage. And I don't want just, like dating. And I have met a lot of guys on the internet, but they are, they don't have good values, and then they just want to chat with you, and then you don't know if they are really serious with you. So I was about to give up. And then suddenly when I tried Christian Filipina, and then after 3 months, I think, Maxie sent me an email message. Yeah, but that we have the same goal.
Great. And so, you guys, as Maxie said, you talked for 8 months or so. Then he came to see you. What was that like the first time you saw Maxie?
Well, the first time I saw Maxie on his profile I was really curious about what he looks like, because he just posted photos, and then the photo is not so recent. So, but because of his profile and his message, I was interested to reply to him, because the way he sent me the message was, he was really sincere in asking me.
Great. When he first stepped off the plane and you saw him, what did you think? Were you happy?
Yeah, I was really happy. and, and especially when he called me the first time on the phone, and it was my first time to hear his voice, and it made me giggle.
That's great. Let's talk for just a sec.
You have to understand, Wid, that I didn't have a computer that had a cam. I had an old computer, and all we could do was type.
Yeah, just chat. We
can't see
each other.
So.
Oh, you didn't have a webcam?
No,
yeah.
I didn't. She did. She did. And
later.
It was later that I had to just go buy a brand new computer with a webcam so we could Skype and she could see me.
Right. That was probably a good idea there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joy, let's talk for a minute about because this is something that I think a lot of Filipina ladies are also interested in. Moving to the United States, that had to be different for you. Good, but I'm sure that there was quite an adjustment there.
Yes, there's a lot of adjustment, but I'm happy that, while we were still chatting, Maxie and I, he would always, he would always ask me, Joy, are you really willing to relocate here? Are you really sure in yourself that you really want here? Will you really be happy with me? And Joe was thinking to show his happiness. Yeah.
Yeah, there's bad weather coming in from Oklahoma here. Oklahoma City's getting pounded right now with some tornadoes, so that may be interrupting our Skype. I don't know.
Oh, God bless them. Let's just hope nothing else horrible happens. Oh, God bless those people. Well, let's just wrap this up pretty quick. Is the recorder on, Peter?
Yep.
Okay.
Is it?
Okay, Joy, what I wanted to ask you as we kind of wrap this up is that when you came to the United States, have you been able to connect with any Filipinos locally in Arkansas? Or are there even a few?
Yeah, I met a few, but I really didn't have time to get connected like in a group. I know there are some groups here, like Filipino Association like that, but I really haven't got the time to really connect with them, because so far I am not, to be honest, right now I'm not really homesick yet. I'm really happy, even if I don't have chance to meet with other Filipinas, because I'm happy with Maxi.
Right. Have you found it fairly easy to make American friends, and Maxi's friends, have you've become friends with them as well?
Yeah, yes, and in our local church here, I can easily make friends, and I have some friends already here in the church, and also with our neighbors. Yeah, and I don't find it's not hard for me to communicate with them.
Now,
Yeah.
obviously, Joy, you in the Philippines, you studied and spoke English. Was that your first language in the Philippines?
Yeah, our first language is Filipino language, but the American English is our second language. It's really part of our curriculum from grade school to college.
So communication for you was not a problem when you came to America?
Yeah, it was not a problem for me. Yeah.
let me just kind of end with this. What advice would you have for a Filipina lady who meets someone online and they share values and they fall in love? What advice would you have for her about coming to the States? What to do, what not to do?
Well, I'm gonna advise them to, really be open with their hearts, not keep secret, and also try to ask a lot of questions, especially when it comes to relationship. Because sometimes other Filipinas are scared to ask, and I would advise them to really communicate with their husband, with their fiance, and then just like what Maxie had told you a while ago, be patient. It's better to be patient and then be prayerful, and it's also good to ask other counsel, especially those who have experience already. Listen to other advices and counsel, and not be in a hurry right away. And
Wonderful.
when they come, when they come here also, still they need to adjust, because there's difference in the way the everyday living in the Philippines and also here. So it works both ways, like give and take. It should be a give and take relationship, and then take time to listen to what, if you don't understand the way your husband, my husband, like Maxie, sometimes he would tell something but I did not get it. So I really need to ask them, what does it mean when you said that? Don't. And then if he explained, then I have already understood it. And it's
Right.
It's better to communicate and not be prideful too. Yeah.
Right. Interesting. Well, let me conclude with this. Would either, for both of you, would you have one word of advice or one last thing you'd want to share with someone who's considering following in your footsteps?
You, Maxi first.
Oh, I'll say this much, Wid. For me personally, it was a lot of time. It was a lot of effort. But the reward of having this lady with me now, I would do it all over again. The best advice I could give is be patient. Don't get in a hurry. Skype, talk before you make your trip over there, because it is an expensive trip. And it is an expensive, as far as the endeavor itself of getting the visas and doing all the paperwork. It's an expensive, long process, but the rewards of it can be tremendous. If you find the right person, if you find the one that God has really meant for you to be with, it is all worth it in the end.
That's wonderful. Well, I want to say this to the both of you. God bless you. Thank you so much for sharing, and I'm sure that your story will not only help others, but inspire others as well. So God bless.
God bless
God
you,
bless
Dan.
you, Wade, and God bless you, Peter, too.
Yes.
Thanks a lot, Maxine, Joy, and Wid.
Yeah,
Really
thank you,
appreciate
Peter, for all of the effort that you went through so Joy and I could meet through your website. Well, I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Your vision and what you and your wife has accomplished is awesome, and it has helped people like Joy and I to come together.
Yeah, and we're always here. We're always here for you guys whenever you need help.
Okay, well, with an offer like that, you can bet that I'm going to be calling you back again.
Oh, it's our pleasure.
Okay, thanks a lot. Have a good night.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you, Peter. Thank
Good
you,
night.
Wid. Bye-bye.
God bless.
Okay, thanks. Bye.